Hello, everyone. My name is Yating Yu, or you can simply call me Tiffany. I'm a postdoc research fellow at the English department, the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. My presentation's title is Legitimizing a Global Fight for a Shared Future, a critical metaphor analysis of the reportage of COVID-19 in China daily. And here is my contact information. You are welcome to contact me if you have any questions. And so, okay. First, COVID-19 was first detected in Wuhan, China in December 2019. On 11 March 2020, it was classified as a pandemic by the WHO. And with the increasing global death toll, COVID-19 has brought enormous impact on social order, creative fears among people, and heightened diplomatic tensions within and between different nations. And in response to COVID-19, I hypothesize that the Chinese English language news media, which is an official mouthpiece for the Chinese government, has responded to COVID-19 with the diplomatic concept of building a community with a shared future for humankind, CSFH in short. And the diplomatic concept has been proposed and mentioned by Chinese President Xi Jinping in multiple international and diplomatic occasions since he assumed office in 2012. It is a worldview that takes the legitimate concerns of others into consideration while in pursuit of self-interest and to promote the common development of all countries while pursuing the development of our own. And this concept has been a dominant conceptual thought since President Xi Jinping took over power. And it is featured by inheritance and development of traditional Chinese philosophies. Karl Marx thought of community of free men, and Beijing's long-standing foreign policy centered on the 5 principles of peaceful coexistence. So previous studies have examined the CSFH concept from different perspectives, such as political science and ethnology. However, little attention has been given to the discursive legitimation of the CSFH concept in media communication from a linguistic perspective in a globalized context where communication, geopolitics, and public health intersect. And so in order to fill this research gap, my study investigates how this concept is legitimized via the predominant discourses associated with COVID-19 in China daily, as language is an essential vehicle for concepts and news media in an important channel. News media is an important channel for propaganda. And so I have come up with 3 research questions. First, has China Daily promoted Beijing's diplomatic concept of CSFH in the reportage of COVID-19? Second, if so, how is the concept of CSFH legitimized via the predominant discourses associated with COVID-19 in China Daily? And third, what are the ideological implications of the predominant discourses associated with COVID-19 in China Daily? So for data collection, the news were collected from China Daily, which is owned by the Communist Party of China. And the target readers are high-end readers from diversified fields, including diplomats, representatives, and international organizations and transitional corporations, international media reporters and editors, as well as foreign tourists. And here's the table sums up the detail of my data. And the time of the news covered between 24 February and 29 July 2020, because February 24 was the date when the first relevant news article appeared, and July 29 was the date when I collected my data. And so I use this phrase to search for the news. And here it shows the number of the news articles and number of words. So methodology, I use Charter-Risk-Black's critical metaphor analysis, CMA, to examine the discursive legitimation of a CSFH concept in the reportage of COVID-19 in China Daily. In qualitative linguistics, metaphor is seen as a mode of thought for conceptualizing and conveying abstract concepts with something concrete, and it pervades daily communication. So following the practice of CMA, the analysis in this study includes three-stage procedures. First, to identify the metaphor, and then second, to interpret the conceptual metaphor and the pragmatic elements. And the last one is to explain the language use, and then to explain the ideologies. So the key findings. So Beijing's diplomatic concept of CSFH is found to be prevalent, as it appears 218 times in the news data. It is legitimized via the three dominant discourses below. I will go through them one by one later. And these discourses are constructed by war-related metaphors and other linguistic processes such as category work, labeling, indexicals, deontic modals, and emphatic, negation, numerical, statistical evidence, and parallelism, and have ideological implications for collectivism and humanitarianism. So first, dominant discourse, COVID-19 as a common enemy of humankind. So so COVID-19 is compared to an enemy, making it more tangible and vicious with a personification effect. And it implies the conceptual metaphor, the pandemic is an enemy in a conflict frame. And it serves as a nomination strategy that serves to label a social actor or phenomenon. COVID-19 is accused of causing the global war and social unrest in the world, forming part of a wartime rhetoric. By designating COVID-19 as the common enemy, it could help to determine a missile target to be aimed at and create a sense of oneness for humankind. So it subsequently legitimizes the CSFH concept with ideological implications for collectivism and humanitarianism. And here is an example. As you can see, I highlighted enemy in red, which is a metaphor. Other similar labels such as global threat and menaces, which are also highlighted in red, are used to label COVID-19. So by amplifying the danger of the pandemic, the enemy metaphor could effectively arouse strong emotions of fear in global readers in order to persuade them to compromise on their self-interest and to unite in fighting against the common enemy of humankind for a shared future, legitimizing the CSFH concept with ideological implication for collectivism and humanitarianism. So the second most dominant discourse is other nations of the world as China's ally. So China and other nations of the world are implicitly compared to allies imbued with human characteristics via personification. And it implies the conceptual metaphor, nations are allies in a conflict frame, and it serves as a nomination strategy for membership categorization. So here is an example. As you could see, brotherhood and comradeship. These highlighted words in red are also metaphor. And so they compare these two metaphors compare the relationship between China and other nations of the world to allies in a war. And so when the nations of the world are cast in the role of allies, solidarity and cooperation are compared to the most powerful weapons, making them more tangible and potent. Past mental frames are activated by metaphor from the semantic field of war, such as war and weapons in the example below. Which can be seen as mental representations of our knowledge of the world, a data structure that is located in human memory and can be selected or retrieved when needed. So by representing China as a supportive ally with selfless dedication in China Daily, it not only helps to project a positive national image to the world, but also promotes international collaboration amid the global health crisis. This discursive positioning made by China Daily has resonated with Beijing's intention to diffuse the ongoing diplomatic tensions between China and the West, and to promote the idea that mutual support among all the nations of the world is a prerequisite for winning the global fight against COVID-19 in a shared future of humankind. And the last most dominant discourse is the WHO as the leader of the global fight against the pandemic. So this comparison is featured by human characteristics via personification, making it more visible and tangible. It implies the conceptual metaphor, and international organization is the leader or general in a conflict frame. A nomination strategy is serving to label. It can be seen as a nomination strategy serving to label the WHO. And so the leader or general metaphor is evidenced by expressions depicting the role of the WHO from the semantic field of war, such as playing the leading role in this global fight in the example below. As you can see, I have highlighted in red color. And China's support for the WHO as the leader of global fight is also highlighted in the example. This discursive positioning is amplified by verbal phrases describing China's actions, such as firmly supports and give it more political and financial supports. By highlighting the WHO's leadership role in forming a global alliance and its ultimate goal to build a healthy community with a shared future, it implies that the WHO mission is aligned with China's diplomatic concept of CSFH, and in return validates the WHO's leadership role. So here are some key discussions. So in contrast to some scholars' arguments about negative social impact brought by the war metaphors, the finding of this study showed that the use of war metaphor in China daily is endowed with Chinese characteristics guided by the CSFH concept, emphasizing solidarity and cooperation within the in-group to fight against the out-group COVID-19 with potentially positive social effects. And the predominant discourses associated with COVID-19 could be situated within the wider discursive context, where China daily serves as Beijing's communication bridge to disseminate its geopolitical message to the world amid a global health crisis. The wider geopolitical context might also play a crucial role in the discursive legitimation of the CSFH concept in the reportage of COVID-19 China Daily. Beijing's proposed CSFH concept, a new model of global governance which highlights shared interests, win-win cooperation, and collectivism, might encounter resistance, especially from developed countries in the West, as it is opposed to the traditional model of nation-state governance, featured by competition, zero-sum games, and individualization based on Western capitalistic constitutional system. Yet, the urgent need for global cooperation and common development during the global health crisis provides Beijing's proposed concept of global governance, CSFH, to be an effective and legitimate one. Hence, the crisis provides a good opportunity for Beijing to promote and legitimize its diplomatic concept of CSFH in the reportage of COVID-19 in China Daily. As Klingenberg indicates, the COVID-19 pandemic marks the end of our romance with market society and hyper-individualism. In the end, a limitation of the study, it has only examined the discourse of a public health crisis. Future research could consider investigating the other types of discourses, such as Chinese president's speeches, in legitimizing the CSFH concept and compare their findings with the current one. And here are some selected references. And I welcome your questions, comments, and suggestions. And here below is my contact information. And you can scan the QR code to add my WeChat. Thank you very much for your attention.